It's been a bit since we've been in this room. I figured I would just come in this room because we're not really doing any drawing or anything today. Since this is the first video of the new year, we are going to do just like a little kind of like life update chat, goals for 2024, and a little like Q&A that I asked on Instagram. So I'll answer some questions and just kind of like a little like, I don't know, check in. You wanna come up here, Gengi? Say hi, Gengi. But yeah, so it's just like a little check-in, see how y'all are doing, and kind of talk about, you know, goals for this channel for 2024. I have my phone too. I'm gonna be checking some stuff like notes and, you know, like questions and stuff like that. So if I'm like looking down, it's because of that. The first thing I want to say is thank you so much for just like everything, for the growth on this channel, for the comments, for the engagement, the interaction with my videos, for giving me feedback, and for sticking with me through growing pains and everything. I've said this before on like Instagram and stuff like that, but I am a one-woman show. A lot of this stuff, like, you know, trying to essentially start my own business. My art page is an LLC. So in 2021, I was laid off from my studio job along with a bunch of other people. It was the Agent Elvis project that I posted about on Instagram. It got moved to another studio, so everyone who was working on it got laid off, unfortunately. So in that year was the year I decided, you know what, I'm going to try to make it on my own as like an independent artist doing the social media thing. A lot of this has been kind of, it has a steep learning curve, trying to figure out like the algorithm and how to sustain myself and shipping orders and tracking orders and everything. I have bad ADHD, and I am diagnosed with ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder. Luckily I'm on medication for it, so I at least with the anxiety, I've got a hang of it with the medication and everything. ADHD is still relatively new for me, and I'm still trying to figure out the best way that works with my brain. I don't want to use it as like an excuse on why I don't do things properly or whatever in certain time. And instead I've been trying to find ways that kind of like work with how my brain already functions, that I can kind of like hack it or trick it to doing the things that it needs to do. The problem is it's hard when you're running a business by yourself, especially when a lot of it is, sorry. I'm in the guest room and Diglett is like being really cute on the bed. Anyway, it can be a challenge trying to like manage all of the administrative parts. Luckily, I've brought my husband on to help me, which he's amazing at that type of stuff. So we started in the end of 2023, revamping some stuff and trying to get a better hang of everything. So all of that said is hopefully in 2024, this new year, things will be a little more streamlined. Things will be a little more structured and scheduled with the help of my husband, who's gonna be structuring and scheduling things. I'm hoping that in 2024, I'm going to be able to do more as a business. I'm hoping that things will be a little easier once we start getting the hang of it. It's definitely tricky being an independent artist and trying to manage all of these things at once, especially when some of these things are not in your wheelhouse, things that you're good at. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who has kind of stuck with me during this time. The next thing I would love to do in 2024 is do more merch. I actually really like making merch things. I found like seeing it as a product. So I am hoping to do more with my sticker club. If you aren't part of the sticker club, the links are in the little box below. I make new designs monthly. I also sell sticker albums that have blank reusable sticker pages so you can store all of your stickers so you don't have to worry about where you're gonna put them. I've already figured that out for you. You can put them in my sticker book. The second tier will have a collectible card in it. So I'm trying to do like more fun things. I'm also always taking suggestions for what you'd like to see for the next month, especially if you're part of the club already. I definitely take those into account. I've done some previous sticker club designs based off of what people have requested. So if you ever want to see something as stickers, feel free to tell me and I might do it. I also really want to put out an art book this year, not just like the 2 art books that I've done that were themed, but just like a general art book of like sketches and, you know, illustrations and stuff like that that I've done over the years, and maybe little blurbs and stuff about the work. And so that's something that I really want to do for this year. I know I've applied to MomoCon and DragonCon for 2024. I am hoping that I get in. Definitely, if you are in the Atlanta, Georgia area and you want to see me, you can come to those conventions because I usually get into those. And then I'm also hoping that I can get into Lightbox in California again this year, and maybe some other conventions, who knows? That's what I want to do on the convention front. I also really want to make a doll. It's been driving me nuts, especially as I've been consuming more doll content. I would love to make a ball jointed doll. I have no idea on how to model it. I don't know if I'm gonna have to teach myself or what, but I would love to make one. I don't know anything that goes into it. All I know is designing it, but it's something that I would like to look into at least and see if it's something I can pursue, but I'm not sure. So we'll see. I'm thinking of other merch stuff, so if there's other things that you want to see, let me know. I've gotten some requests for calendars. I don't know if I'll be able to do them for this year since it's already January, but maybe I can start working on it towards the end of the year so that it can be ready for 2025. So maybe I will do that. So let me know down below if that's something else you want. And also, I'll always take suggestions. If you have some good ideas, let me know. I also would love to do more collabs in 2024. I actually really enjoy doing collaborations. They're really fun. That's one thing I loved about working in an animation studio, is just watching all of the pieces kind of come together to form a final product. And so I would love to do more collabs with other people because I think it's always fun to see what 2 or more people bring to the table to finalize something really cool. So I'm kind of keeping my eye out for those. Another thing I kind of want to pursue maybe is sponsorships. I am kind of looking into that whole process, and I would love to find like art sponsorships for the YouTube channel with products that I would love to use or try and enjoy working with, so I can show you guys those products. So that's another thing that I'm kind of looking into, so don't be surprised if I end up finding some. But of course, I'm very strict about sponsors. I've already had a bunch reach out to me, but a lot of them were products that I just didn't care about, and I'm not just gonna put like whatever on here. So I kind of want to do something that I like the things that I actually find interesting or good quality or something. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about with that. Oh, another thing that I was playing around with is maybe offering art critique. So I don't know exactly how I want to do it yet, but maybe offering an option, like a paid option, where if you send in your stuff, I can critique it in like a professional way, obviously, and help offer advice on portfolios and stuff like that. I'm thinking maybe that might be something fun. I don't know if that's something you guys want to participate in or see. And if it is something you want to see on this channel or participate in, let me know down below. And yeah, I think that would be really fun to do. So with all of that said and done, I think those are kind of my goals for 2024. That's kind of what I can think of off the top of my head, what I've like mulled over that I really want to get done. in this new year. Without further ado, let's move on to the Q&A. This person asks, I don't know how to pronounce this, so sorry. When will the Puppets Kickstarter be out? / when will the other Puppets sticker sheet speed paints be posted? I wanted to start off with this question because I know a lot of you are probably wondering, especially because I like teased like, oh, I'm gonna release the Kickstarter this year. That was in 2023. Like I mentioned it multiple times, and then 2023 came and went. No Puppets Kickstarter. Let's address this one. It's still technically in the works. My life got so insanely busy in like the middle to end of 2023 that I honestly had zero time to work on anything. It's something that I really still want to pursue. It's just hard when, you know, I'm juggling so many balls, and then the people on my team, you know, they have full-time jobs and other things that are going on in their life, and this is very much like I don't want this to take precedence on people's lives, or at least until the Kickstarter is out and people are getting paid. Right now, since it's all just like kind of working to get the Kickstarter up, it's just taking a bit. But that is another one of my big 2024 goals, is to get the Puppets Kickstarter up and out. I think one of the downfalls was I really wanted to get it up for Dragon Con. As it got closer, I got more stressed, I got more overwhelmed, and then when Dragon Con came and went, I kind of got like upset with myself that I didn't get it out on time. And it just, everything got so hectic and crazy that I was just like, okay, I can't even touch this right now. So I'm hoping, praying, and wishing that 2024 is my year for the Kickstarter, and I am going to jump right in very soon with my team, touch base, and try to get the ball rolling on it again. You know, it's hard when it's like, again, like I said earlier, with managing and administrative and stuff like that. I have a friend who's helping me as a project manager. It's still tricky, that's all. The logistics are tricky. And so I'm trying my dang hardest while managing 50 other things, and I want it up and I want it out. So yes, if you have any words of encouragement, please leave them down below, because sometimes I get kind of frustrated and upset with myself, and I would love a pick-me-up, some sort of motivation or inspiration or something that kind of kicks my butt back into gear. Not that you have to, it's just when I hear about how much the Puppets have touched people's lives or in any way, shape, or form, it definitely encourages me to keep going. Not that I plan on stopping, but it is like a nice little turbo boost, I guess is the best way to say it. So yeah, feel free to leave some words of encouragement down below. As for the sticker sheets, I am planning on posting them, but I also have them done, which I plan on putting up on my shop really soon. I just haven't gotten a chance to stock things, so been trying really hard. See? I'll be putting them in the Puppets shop soon. I don't know when, but soon. Jada asks, when did you start drawing when you were young? This one's really hard because I just have been drawing since I can remember. I have paper dolls from when I was like in elementary school and stuff that I would make, and I've just been always drawing. Like my mom said, I've always been drawing. There isn't really like a point in time as a child I remember being like, I'm gonna start drawing. I think I've just always kind of done it. Jam the Jellyfish Princess asks, are there gonna be more Vintageify videos? Yeah, I have no plans on stopping it. I just have to figure out different things, kind of do them when inspiration strikes. I don't have anything currently pending for an idea, but I'm also not opposed to new ideas. So if you have any, let me know. Nicole Parker asks, what advice would you give 13-year-old you about art and life? My 13-year-old is a big fan. I would say just keep drawing. Keep sketchbooks, draw whenever you're inspired, practice. the boring stuff early, practice life drawing, practice figure drawing. The more you get that under your belt, the easier it will be drawing people and your art style will improve quicker. Don't get discouraged by artists out there that are better than you, especially when you're young. It can be such a bummer, especially I think now in this day and age. When I was 13, we really didn't have social media, so any art I saw online was like not as much as like what you can see today, like a giant collection. I just kind of browsed around and found people's like random art websites. The internet in middle school was a lawless, wild west of a place. I think now social media can be tricky because you have so much good art all in one spot. So, I mean, even now as a 35-year-old, I can scroll through and get bummed because there's so many amazing artists out there that are 10 times better than me. Don't get discouraged. There will always be artists better than you forever. And your voice is unique and your voice is always evolving as an artist. And don't try to corner yourself into one style or one type of thing. Feel free to explore and try different styles and try different looks, and remind yourself that styles are always evolving, always changing. And as an artist, you have your own specific voice, your own topics you want to address, your own things that you want to put into your own art that no one else can or wants to, or your own take on certain things. And don't be afraid to do that. Starfall Cosplay says, if you could have any vintage hairstyle, what would you choose? Lately, I have been really into Dolly Parton's wigs. I love big hair, like big hair. I love it so much. I don't know why, I just really do. It's just so extra. I don't know, I just love it. And Dolly Parton's hair, I'm like obsessed with right now, like her old like 60s and 70s hairstyles. I love 60s hair that's like just large. And if I could have that ability in the sense of it not being a wig, like if I could just make my hair do that, I would do it all the time. Tessa Draws 17 says, where do you get references for your drawings? Outfits, poses, style, etc. Pinterest. I look at a lot of like vintage ads and pinup work. My favorite pinup artist is George Petty. You can see here, and I borrow a lot of his poses because they're just great. So I borrow a lot of poses from like George Petty and other pinup artists. I have a whole board on Pinterest of just poses, like pinup poses that I save for future reference. I really like Pinterest in the sense that you can I just have like collections of inspiration. So if I need a pose, I can go to like my poses board and look through there, or outfits or hairstyles or makeup. I have boards for all of those as well. So a lot of my stuff is inspired by like 1950s fashion and 1960s fashion. Art by Becca says, any advice for someone who is scared of being their true self? Love your art. The most obvious piece of advice is like, screw all the haters, like don't listen to them. That's definitely a part of it. But I guess my other advice is that, like an art style, your true self is always changing or blooming, kind of. You discover more and more of your true self as you get older. It takes time, but don't be afraid of the process, I guess. Finding those things that give you that spark and like continuing to pursue it, and remembering why you like it in the first place, I guess, and continuing to pursue that, and not being afraid of exploring other avenues or other things because it might reveal more things about yourself. Discovering your true self and not being afraid of being your true self, I think, is a process. And I think you should do little things, little steps to eventually grow into yourself, who you're supposed to be. So, for example, if you are a type of person who wishes that they could wear really loud clothing, like really over-the-top loud clothing, but you are nervous, I would start with small things first and get comfortable with that. So like loud earrings. Something that's small, but still gives you a little bit of like, ooh. And then you'll notice that people will compliment it, which will kind of like boost your self-esteem a little bit. And then maybe you can move on to like loud earrings and a loud brooch, or like a big chunky necklace, or like maybe you dye your hair a different color, things like that, just like slow steps until you really fall into the clothing style that you really want to wear. Pizza Pie 30 asks, have you ever tried drawing with your non-dominant hand? Yes, I have actually. It's a exercise done in art classes where I've done this a lot actually, where they make you draw with your non-dominant hand as a way to kind of continue to train your brain on like what you see and building shapes and like all of that type of stuff. I am a lefty, but I have a few pieces that I had to draw with my right hand. They're not good, but I've done them. AU Tones says, favorite clothing brands / places to shop? eBay. In general, my favorite spots are a thrift store up the street from me and eBay. I love eBay. I live on it. I get all my vintage, almost all my vintage clothes from eBay. Most of my clothes are secondhand, whether it's vintage or like thrifted. I try my best not to buy fast fashion. Sometimes things can't help it. There's like certain pieces where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. But I try really hard not to. Sometimes Etsy, sometimes Facebook groups that sell specific like clothing, decade style stuff. There are a few brands that I like. Lace Made, Vixen by Micheline Pitt, Selkie, Vivian of Holloway. Rachel says, why are you such a delight? Answer now, please. I don't know. I could ask you the same question. Why are you such a delight? Your turn to answer. Because I have no answer. I don't know. I was born this way. And to piggyback off of that one, the next person asks, Wizards Foundry, how did you get to know Rachel Maxi? When Rachel and I have talked about it, I was subscribed to her YouTube channel, loved her videos. I ended up doing fan art of her like way back, like maybe like 4 years ago or something. I think that's when she noticed me. And then apparently, according to her, I think, and Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we've talked about this before, we both kind of like secretly fangirled over each other. Cause like she liked my art and I liked her content, and like we secretly were like, wow, she's so cool. And then I think I ended up talking to her about Grogu, I think. And then we just kind of started talking, and then we were like, oh my gosh, we're insanely similar. We're like the same person, and just kind of snowballed from there. She's great. I love her. She's she's quickly become one of my like best friends. So we talk like every day. She's awesome. I love her. Felice DS Art says, sometimes I have a really hard time organizing my art projects and I feel like I leave so many unfinished. Do you have any advice that helps you focus on finishing projects? No. I try not to give myself projects that are really big. A lot of my art style, it's more flat stylistically, and I think that's done because if I spend too long on a project, I tend to get kind of like sick of it and then I just don't finish it. So I found that if I make it easier for me to like pump out, if that makes sense, then I'm more likely to finish it. Goobertooth, who's my best friend Abby, how old is your oldest pair of pajama pants? Okay, I know which pajama pants you're referring to, and I don't have them anymore. I got rid of them, but they lasted a long time, like 15 years or something. Craft Boy, do I need to go to school for illustration to work as an illustrator or artist in your opinion? No, you don't need to. You don't need to go to school as an artist for anything, technically. You don't need a degree. I have been in various studios where I worked along people who were self-taught with no school, whatever. I've gone to school with people who don't have jobs as they came out of art school, still don't have art jobs. It doesn't guarantee that you're gonna get work as an artist. Most studios, if not all studios, don't necessarily care what school you went to, just as long as you have a good portfolio. And that's the important thing, is you need a good portfolio. How do you get a good portfolio? You can go to school to learn the things that you need to learn to build a good portfolio, or you can teach yourself and build a good portfolio that way. They both have pros and cons. I went to art school. The pro is I work best in, at least with learning things, often I worked best in like a structured environment because I have ADHD. I found having like a structure of like school and like lessons and like all of that type of stuff was helpful and beneficial for me and the way that my brain works. Even though I don't technically like schedules, I need schedules, is what I'm very quickly realizing now that I'm like fully independent. I need a schedule. So school was good for me because I needed that to like kind of help me and learn. I, especially when I was a younger artist, tend to stay inside my comfort zone in art, in styles, in like topics and stuff like that. And art school definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone and forced me to do things that I wouldn't normally do, which also helped me learn about myself as an artist. All of that led to a portfolio that I was able to show employers and then get a job. I went to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. I went to the one in Atlanta. SCAD had a program, I think they still have it, towards the end of your senior year. It's called Out to Launch, which is kind of like a career fair, kind of like a career fair, except reversed. So instead of employers having booths, it was students who had booths to show off their work, and employers walked around and looked at everybody's stuff. I was lucky enough to be invited into Out to Launch, so I had a display of my work and my portfolio, and then I had employers who walked around who saw my work, and a studio in Atlanta liked my stuff and hired me out of school. You can make good connections in school. Now, the con is, it is very expensive. I left school with way too much debt, an insane amount of student debt, especially for an art school. I left with like $150,000. I am still paying it off to this day. I am 35. I still have many years of paying student loans. My husband didn't even go to school. He lovingly married me with all my debt, and we are paying it off, and it's a lot. And I know people who went to art school who don't have a career in art and have those student loans, and it sucks. And it's something that you want to think about for sure before you get saddled with it. Now, if you are the type of person who is good at teaching yourself, then you don't need to go to school. My camera died. If you're the type of person who does well teaching yourself, then you don't need to go to school. Unlike when I started going to college, there's a lot of things online now that you can use to teach yourself that are way cheaper than college. There's like Schoolism, like a lot of art websites that kind of like can teach you things. There's so many. There's YouTube videos, like all of that type of stuff. So the thing that matters, the goal that you want, is a good portfolio. And to customize your portfolio towards the thing that you want to go to, that you want to work in. So if you want to do character design, look up what makes a good character design portfolio, and then make sure you include things like that in yours. All right, I'm gonna have to pick a last few questions because I think this is getting kind of long. My friend Kelly asks, if your bagel babies had to fight your sugar plum fairies in a cage match, who would win? Definitely bagel babies. I think that they have chutzpah, especially if they're like New York bagels. If they're New York bagels, then they can take them on. They can take them on. There's no way, there's no question. And then I think the last one is, what is the coolest antique you own? I think the coolest antique that I own, I have a lot of cool ones, but I think my most prized one is my frames from the original Fantasia. I have two, I'm pretty sure they're in-betweens, which are like the not as important keyframes of like animation. They're like the ones that fill in, but there's still two in-between frames from the centaur scene in Fantasia. I won them on an auction site for a price that I thought was actually pretty affordable for what they are. So it's really cool to have a piece of animation history in my house. I think that's probably my most favorite or coolest antique piece that I have. Editing Savannah here, I wanted to pop in really fast and mention that I got a lot of questions about being a freelance artist and like social media artist and like how do you support yourself. And I answered some of it, but I had to cut it because this video was getting super long. If you guys want to see a more extensive video on that, let me know down below and I can make it its own video on like the things that I do and the things that I've found and talking about like freelance and stuff like that. Just let me know because I didn't want this video to be like an hour long. Okay, bye. And then that's about it. I think I'm gonna wrap this video up. I know it's a lot of talking and like no art, but I wanted to do like a touch base video and like start off the new year with kind of like hopes and dreams and la la la. So yeah, let me know what you think down below to any of these things that I talked about. I talked about a lot of stuff. If you have any advice on things you want to see or the things that you liked that I was doing, or I don't know, merch ideas or anything like that, leave a comment below. And yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Try, if you're not allergic, peanut butter M&Ms. Not the peanut M&Ms, peanut butter M&Ms. Those are good. Unless you're allergic to peanut butter or peanuts, then don't try them. That's my homework for you. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.